children, our future. I'm Buzz Cobalt, and today we are going to continue our story, our show, on what is being done in Contra Costa County in the Department of Child Support Services. It's a unique job that's being done very professionally and in a way that has opened up new horizons in this area of child support services. It is a pace-setting program that Contra Costa Child Support Services has developed, and it is successful. And the reason it is successful is because these professionals have been able to convince so many people that this program, if they participate, works for them, for their children, and for everybody. It is a success because they invite people to be successful. And that's what this is about. It's about your child's life. It's about the quality of life for them as well as you. And that's why it's important for you to pay attention to every little bit that goes on here today, because it's important that you make a contribution to this kind of success. They want that kind of participation from you and can encourage you to the level that your participation will improve the quality of your life beyond all reason. And that's what this is about. Now, joining us today for this program is Mary Ann Devine. Now, Mary Ann is Contra Costa County Family Law Facilitator. We're going to find out more about that because it's a very interesting process in all of this. And she is joined by Lisa Reep, Executive Director of the Contra Costa County Bar Association. And so it gives you a sense, I'm sure, that all facets of this social structure of Contra Costa County are brought into play to make the solution to these kinds of problems very simple and very good and very successful. Okay, first let's start with Mary Ann. Mary Ann, what is your role in all of this in your department?
Well, we're an office in the court, and we provide legal assistance to people who don't have attorneys who have questions about child and spousal support. So if they need help getting a support order, modifying a support order, enforcing, we're there to give them legal assistance.
If there was somebody watching us right now, some fellow sitting at home, or in some cases I'm sure some ladies sitting at home that have these obligations, then you would encourage them, and they have questions of any kind. They're behind, they've been behind for 8 months. And they're sitting there and they're thinking, I wonder if this is a person I should call just to ask what kind of questions.
Well, they could ask us, how could we get our support modified? Maybe a job has changed, there's a custody change or something, and the order doesn't really reflect the current economic situation. They would come in, we would see the problem, give them assistance so they can effectively represent themselves in court and get some structure to their child support problem.
I see. Then you would be a good place to start out with.
We're a very good place to start out. We not only give legal assistance, but we direct people to workshops if they have questions about divorce or custody. We direct them to other community and legal resources where they might get help for their legal issues.
I see. Now, when a person comes in contact with you, how do you stay with them, or do you just point them and refer them into a direction that they can go?
We point them in the right direction. We help them get their paperwork together. We give them instructions on filing and serving motions. We teach them how to conduct themselves in court. We're not their attorneys. We don't go to court with them, but we give them legal assistance to represent themselves.
Okay. Now, Liza, where do you come in at?
Well, sometimes situations are too complicated for people to handle on their own, and so our office does offer a variety of services. We have a lawyer referral service. We have a moderate means program for people who have income issues.
Right on.
And we have a family law mediation program. We have attorney counseling evenings where people can get some free legal advice on a designated evening.
I see. Is this characteristic of all bar associations throughout the state of California?
I think most bar associations at minimum have a lawyer referral service. I think each bar is trying to respond to the needs of their particular county. We added the family law mediation program because of county need. And
yeah. Is this unique to Contra Costa County at this time?
the particular combination of services that we have are. Yes.
Right. That's good. How did that come to be? Because that is interesting.
Well, we had our lawyer referral service for quite some time, and about probably 8 years ago, what was then Battered Women's Alternative came to us because there was a real need for offering services to people who didn't qualify for free legal assistance, but who could not afford the going rate for family law practitioners. So that's where we developed the Moderate Means program.
I see. Then you guys are playing a real important role in the success of this program.
I definitely believe so.
In other words, the success of Contra Costa County has been in this area, and God knows, by golly, this has been a problem for the last for hundreds of years, I suppose, as long as there's been divorce and child support. To have brought together a team of people in this manner. Don't you think? I mean, are we in some unique areas here?
I think we have a really, really good relationship with our court system and bench and your office. Not all counties can say that, so we all work together very cooperatively.
Right. Then, go ahead.
We have a very good working relationship with the DCSS as well. They're always there to answer questions that we might have. They send people to us continually. We send people back to them sometimes. It's a very comprehensive legal assistance program that is a partnership with the Bar Association, the DCSS, and our office as well.
Do you guys have anything, in this child support situation, I hear this from people, from fellows I've known over the years. Why should I pay anything? I don't get to see the kid at all. Do you guys help in that area?
Well, we do. We try to educate people as to how the system works as well. And we can also make referrals. If there's a custody problem, people can file motions either to obtain custody orders, modify custody orders. We have workshops at court that will help people through that process so that there is a relationship with the children as well as just paying the support.
Right. Are there good family law practitioners available to these people?
Absolutely.
That's a specialty in law. We think of divorce, okay, you file the papers, bang, and divorce and all this and that. Right. But it's a rather unique area of the law, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we have a very strong family law section in our Bar Association who contribute to a lot of the programs that we offer and that Mary Ann's office offers.
What do you feel is the most important contribution that you make, the Bar Association makes in these areas? What do you do for a client that you really feel is right on?
We pre-screen the attorneys who participate in the various programs.
Right.
We know who they are. We know that they have the qualifications that are necessary to do the job they need to do.
Right.
We're a public service agency. We don't have any interest in promoting one attorney over another. We just want to make sure they meet the qualifications.
Right. Would this work? Is there any areas, Liza, where you think that you could do better?
We could expand the resources.
Is that right?
There's a huge need in Contra Costa County, probably all over the state of California.
Right on.
And that's what we're trying to address.
I see.
So we're continually doing that.
And Mary Ann, how about that? Do you have the resources that are necessary, or there's never enough money anywhere?
No, there's never enough money, and we have a budget crisis at the court as well. But we do pretty well. We have 4 full-time attorneys, and we have volunteer attorneys from the Bar Association who staff the workshops, and we're trying to get the word out so that if anybody has a legal question, they know where to come right away. And if we can't give them individual assistance, we can certainly refer them someplace they can get it.
What might be an area? What might be an area where you would be particularly good for the person that is behind? You see, because when you're behind on child support, it's like nobody wants to help. I don't want to go anywhere because they're going to throw me in jail, and I don't, this is a stigma that I'm having a hard enough time to deal with. I want to just put it in the closet and forget about it.
Right. Well, we help them file their motions. Maybe their support order is just too high for their job right now. They simply can't afford it. We can help them file a motion to modify. We can help them file a motion to set
Are you
payment
successful
plan.
in those areas of motions to modify?
Oh, I believe we are, yes. I believe we are.
Because it gets a judge's attention when somebody is at least making an effort to be
Right,
there and do
true.
something about this. Right? I mean,
That's right.
you know, if the client shows that, I want to do something, I just don't have the money, that's a good impression on the court, right?
Right.
That's a very good impression.
It's important to have a lawyer, too. Don't you think?
It would be, ideally, it would be great if everybody could have an attorney.
Right.
Representation is great, but the reality is that most people can't afford attorneys.
Right. But can you get them through a lot of that without an attorney? Can you give them the kind of help, that person that can't afford the attorney, can your office give them the kind of help that will be suffice?
Yes, we do. We do. We have them, their paperwork's in order, if they followed our directions, they've completed their service, they're ready to go when they get to court. We give them instructions on how to conduct themselves, what to bring to court with them. So they're in pretty good shape to represent themselves by the time they get there.
Is this having to do with the seminars that you put on?
The Pro-Per clinic?
Yeah.
That's another area. Our services are, we can only do the child support, but the workshops focus on divorce and also custody, visitation, and other issues. And it's the same process. It's not as much individual assistance, but it'll get you in shape to represent yourself.
Right. And in these areas, then a person might find, by golly, I need the resources to get a lawyer. Lisa's people have shown me that, by golly, if I had the kind of representation I need, I might be able to do better for myself and my child.
Right.
That's true, particularly when there are property issues in a divorce. That's the time someone really does need to speak to an attorney.
These legal issues that you guys are concerned with, we've talked briefly about those people that can't afford legal representation. Right. We think of people that are not paying their child support as being people that are hard-pressed for finances and so forth. Costa County and all the counties in California, we have a lot of people that are very well suited to pay their child support and don't. Tell me a little bit about those people, because a good lawyer can keep you out. A good lawyer can represent you very well in those situations where you might be a dentist owing $100,000 in child support.
Well, you could find as a dentist who owes $100,000 in child support that you might lose your license to practice.
Okay.
So there's some very tough enforcement procedures.
In other words, there are some other directions that we can go. Linda was talking with us about losing the license, and she's been very active. I've seen her on the network television talking about those situations where you lose your license, blah, blah, blah. But there are other avenues that can be taken, too. Is that right?
Sure. There are many, many enforcement procedures for collecting child support. There are wage assignments, liens, tax refund intercepts. It's a very serious obligation, and the state wants to see the support collected.
Right. Now, the important issue here, as I see it, is to just encourage the people that they need legal advice. They've got all kinds of issues about visitation rights and custody and all of these things that you've mentioned. And if we can just encourage them to come in and just say hello, that they can be put on the path to have this taken care of.
Absolutely.
Right. They need to do that. It's very overwhelming to receive documents you don't understand. There's a tendency to ignore it. But people need to know they need to deal with it. And a good first stop is the courthouse. There's a lot of resources there.
And it's not as scary a place as we might think it is.
No,
right?
It's not.
You know, I mean, that everybody really wants to help this be resolved.
That's right.
Because I want our viewing audience to understand that. What we're trying to do here is just to get you down to the office and say hello. That we can work out anything.
Absolutely.
Right on?
Absolutely.
And that you can have legal representation and or get good sound advice in preparing yourself for this kind of litigation.
That's right.
That's true.
Right. Does collection of child support money go according to good economic times and bad economic times?
I would imagine there's better collections in a
Right.
good economy when people are employed and able to pay their support.
Right. Suppose I'm not employed and I have a judgment against me that's sizable.
Well, then you need to come and maybe modify it. If it's a current support order, you need to make arrangements to make payments on the back support. You need to deal with it.
Yeah. In other words, being unemployed is no area then to go and hide from this thing. This is when you got to stand up really and get in there and do your thing.
That's right. That's right.
Because people, I think, have a tendency, I won't go. They won't come looking for me. You know, don't you think?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'll just sit here
Yeah.
and so forth. Have you seen a problem that when it comes time to you going to jail?
Well, that could happen. If you
Right on.
don't pay your child support and you don't pay it, you could be sent to jail for it.
Can you litigate? Can you give people advice in that regard?
Well, we don't really give legal advice. We give legal assistance.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Now, can the Bar Association? Now they're going to throw me in jail. Well, how about I need some help now? I've suddenly found enough money now to get a lawyer because I'm going to jail.
Well, the good news is that we have a couple of programs available where they can get legal advice, but they don't have to hire an attorney for full representation.
Oh, okay.
We have attorney counseling evenings the second and fourth Thursday of every month. At least once a month, they're family law oriented, and they're attorneys who are there and available to meet with people for free. To talk to them about their issue. But we also have an unbundled legal services program, which we just started, where people can talk to a lawyer and agree with the attorney on a limited scope representation. They may be able to handle most of their matter through the advice and assistance from the Family Law Center.
Right.
But then there may be one sticky area that they really need legal assistance with, and they can hire that attorney for that particular aspect of their case.
Oh, they can.
And then that makes it more affordable and more accessible, I think, for people who may not be able to afford an attorney for full representation.
Right. That's good. That's good to know. That there are specific areas that you can get a lawyer just to handle this one thing here. Okay. So then a person should be totally comfortable in the fact that there are specifics here that you might get involved in where you can get legal representation that will handle
When
that.
you really need it.
When you really need it.
Right.
Right. Are you satisfied with the position that, as a facilitator, that you're in Contra Costa County in regard to the work that you're doing? In other words, I'm asking you, are you doing a good job, Maria?
Well, I think we're doing a very good job. We have increased the number of people that we serve pretty dramatically over the past year.
When did this start? The
facilitator offices were established in about 1996. So there's an office in every superior court in each county in California. And DCFS has been a good partner to us in getting the word out about our service. So we're seeing a big increase of people come to the office, telephone us. We have a jail outreach program. We work with incarcerated.
Tell me about that, jail outreach.
Well, sometimes people go into prison and they have support orders, and if they don't do something about that support order, they'll owe a ton of money by the time they get out.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have our flyers in jails and prisons and at public defender's office, and they can write to us, and we can help them get their paperwork together, maybe to modify an order during the period of incarceration.
Right.
So that when they come out, they're not burdened with thousands of dollars that they can't pay.
I had an acquaintance years ago that told her that was way behind on child support. And so when he finally was, for want of a better word, forced to do something about this, he went to Contra Costa County, and I've always found this very interesting. This happened about 20, 25 years ago, when things were tough in this area.
Right.
And the lady that he talked with in the DA's office, I'm sure George wasn't there then, but anyway, she said, "You see this pile of papers?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "That's all about you." And in this file, every one of the people that has dealt with you over the last 5 years has always made a notation that you're a nice person and you show up once a month. you're not paying anything, but at least you're coming down to say, hello, I don't have any money. In other words, and so she treated him rather kindly in straightening this out, only because he had demonstrated that this willingness not to run away, that he just came in at once a month and said, I don't have any money. This is the thing that in Contra Costa County we're trying to convince people of, that there is no situation so dire that if you just come in and talk with us, this is not going to get out of hand.
Right. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
And in the Bar Association is contributing there and saying that, yeah, we're here, we can offer you the kind of stuff that'll make this workable. And then the facilitator is saying, okay, here's what you do. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
When we have an increase from 96, did you say, Marianne? From 96. What changed in that time?
Well,
that made this all of a sudden? Because, when we did the series Fair Share for Kids, I was amazed at how much had been done, how this kind of thing had been totally redesigned in 96. How long have you been involved with the issues of child support and child services?
Well, I was in private practice before I became a facilitator.
Right.
And I've been a facilitator for about 2 years.
About 2 years.
About 2 years.
What was it over this period of time from, say, 96 to now? What's that, 7 years? What happened?
Well, there's been a more aggressive attempt, I think, to collect support. There was a change from the district attorney's office to the Department of Child Support Services.
Right.
Our office was established. There's been a big effort to get the word out. We do community outreach. As I said, DCSS sends out our flyers with their mailings. So it's a question of educating and getting the word out.
How about from the attorney point of view since 96?
Additional programs have been established.
Is that right?
Absolutely, because we recognize the need.
Are there more attorneys in family law now?
That's a good question. I know there are a lot of family law attorneys. I know that that's our strongest and biggest section of our Bar Association, and they're all very active. We have wonderful volunteers and wonderful participation in the various programs.
Right. Do you feel that from the attorney's point of view, that this is good business for attorneys?
Absolutely.
Right. That there's a lot of work that people can get the kind of thing they want from a family attorney.
Absolutely. And most go into it because they want to help.
Is that right?
Yes.
In Contra Costa County, as in all the counties in California, what do you think is the major block in people I know finances and not having money, but I mean in child support, that it's a big issue. You go, the judge clearly tells you that you have to pay this amount of money in support. Everybody knows I have a judgment against me for this amount of money, and yet they don't pay it. Why is that, from an attorney's point of view?
Well, economics.
Just sheer economics.
Economics. I think most people want to pay their child support. They want to make that positive contribution to their children, but there may be economic barriers. There may be language barriers. There's access issues. People don't realize that it can be as simple as coming to the courthouse to get some help.
Right on. And language barriers, that's a good point. I like that. Because we have a lot of different ethnic makeup in all of our counties in California, I'll bet that is an issue, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's one of our biggest hurdles, is not having enough language capability to assist people. But we do try to refer people to agencies where they can get help.
Right.
If they don't.
Do you have any cultural problems where people just figure, if I don't have custody, I don't pay anything?
I'm not sure that's a cultural issue necessarily. Quite a few non-custodial parents feel that way.
Yeah.
But it's really not the way the law works, and they still have to deal with their support issues.
Right.
And they can also deal with their custody issues, but they're two separate tracks.
Right. In a divorce where children are involved, and these custody issues if they're not, are there any instances where they're not clearly resolved, where the shared custody and all of that, where people get confused about the fact that hey, that doesn't matter, that if you have the youngster for a month, you still have this thing.
There are lots of interpretations of agreements that happen after the fact.
Yeah. And does that make a lawyer stay constantly in the picture?
Often, yeah. Some of these cases can go on for years with changes in custody back and forth.
Oh, yeah. And then when somebody remarries and all that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the condition of, give me your opinion very briefly. This is a big question, like the history of the United States. Give me the family situation. What's going on with you in the American family, in the Contra Costa family? How are they doing? Because when you see people, you see them in less than advantageous situations.
I don't know whether Contra Costa County is unique to the United States, but there are a lot of pressures that perhaps weren't there years ago that are contributing to the angst and the dissolution issues of families.
Right. How about you, Marianne?
Well, I think families, especially in these times, have real serious economic issues. The divorce rate has skyrocketed. You have lots of blended families, lots of single parents, and it can be very difficult to be a single parent. But there are resources available in Contra Costa.
In other words, this is not a situation where you should feel like walking around with 500 pounds on your shoulders 24 hours a day.
No.
And that this is something I can't ever get out of, so I'm not even going to pay attention to it.
Probably the worst thing to do.
Right. In other words, we can make this work if you'll just stop by and see it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we are the Bar Association, and we are the facilitators.
That's right.
That's it. Our children, our future. By golly, and these two people, I'm telling you, one day, Marianne Devine and Lisa Reap, they are people that are here, highly skilled professionals. They can help. So take a chance, because it's your life and your happiness, and they can do it. We'll see you next time.